Episode originally uploaded on September 16, 2024. The full seasons are out. They're just online and they're just out there. This is from 2 years ago. I love Corvette Summer. I love you. Bye.
It's Lucky's really long list of movies. Beep beep. This month's theme is cuffing season, the season that brings romance, fun first dates, sexy sleepovers, and ordering out a lot more than you usually would if you were single. 'Tis the season for romance, and of course, romance movies. So far this month, we have talked about the tiring and tear-inducing Titanic, the very cool, very juicy In the Mood for Love. And today, we will be talking about a romance that I was shocked to find out is not even really categorized as a romance, but a comedy? This week's movie is Corvette Summer. And I am here to make the argument that Corvette Summer is a romance through and through. Sure, there were some funny bits, but there was so much love bursting at the seams of this movie. Yeah, sure, some will say that Corvette Summer is just a comedy flick about a hot rod from the 70s. You know, it gave the youth something to make out to while they're at the movies. But it's not just a make-out movie, it's a work of art. It's a work of heart, a romantic piece to be respected and studied. I would even go as far to say that it isn't a comedy. It's a pioneer of its own category. And what is that category? Oh, darling, it's a fiberglass romance. So before I state my case for y'all, let's revisit my first take. I wasn't able to jump on the mic right after because I was still dealing with really extreme brain fog or something. All I know is that I wasn't tethered to reality in the most boring way, and it was starting to make me physically unwell in the form of body aches, migraines, sorry, it's happening right now. What was I saying? Yeah, I had body aches and migraines that literally never went away. But they've recently gone away, but during this whole production of this podcast, they were there. I took a video of my first take, and I'm going to play it for you right now. I haven't watched this video yet, so I hope it's not too embarrassing. So here we go. Oh my goodness. Jeez. Okay, I'm still a little congested. I'm so sorry. Anyway, here we go. I got my phone. And I'm going to do a super high-tech thing, and I'm going to hold my phone up to the mic. And we're going to hear what I had to say in this video. Okay. It's just going to have to be my first take because that was, not at all what I expected. I was not expecting I wasn't expecting Mark Hamill and Annie Potts. I wasn't expecting their characters to be absolutely batshit crazy insane. Literally, they both, they're crazy. They're insane. But I liked it. I liked how they were both crazy. Crazy. If you took those characters and put them in any kind of universe, they would just be the crazy people. They are crazy people. Those two people are crazy. They're crazy. There was nothing simple about him. He was crazy. He was chasing after a car that wasn't even his, putting his life on the line, running out into public, running down streets, living in the back of a U-Haul, walking up to fancy hotels, being disgusting as hell, being like, have you seen a car? Have you seen a Corvette? A Corvette? Do you have a Corvette inside there? Can I go inside there and get a Corvette? He was fucking crazy. It's like he crushed up toy cars and snorts them through a rolled up dollar bill. He was addicted to this car. It was crazy. And I thought, but it's and then she was also crazy. She was also insane. She was also full of very bad ideas. She was also a creep. But also, they were meant for each other. And then the ending was really sweet. I did like the ending. He, got the car back. He scratched that itch. He got his girl. And she stole his diploma, and then she swung her bag at him, and then they kissed.
him hiding in a barrel of oil was insane. The butt on that man was insane. The teacher being behind all of it, come on. And then it was so much. 10 out of 10 recommend. It was wild. Something you should definitely watch with your friends and buddies. That was fun. That was a good time. That was wild. Absolutely wild. Okay, cannot wait to look into this. Holy schmokes. That was almost 2 hours as well.
Okay. That was my first take. I really enjoyed it. What else can I say? It was a good time. So that was my first take. I still pretty much feel the same, and I'm ready to crack open this case. And I'm also... What the fuck was I gonna say? What the hell is wrong with me today? It's also really hot in my booth. It's a whole nother reason why I don't do visual podcasts at this point, because my booth is 10,000 degrees and I look like a melting jar of mayonnaise. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a recap real quick and we'll get into it. Okay, here we go. This is the 1-minute recap of Corvette Summer. I'm starting my timer now. Kenny is a high school senior and he finds a Stingray Corvette that is about to be crushed. His shop class takes the car and they give it a red-hot sexy makeover. The class takes the car out for a drive and it is immediately stolen. Kenny's heart is broken, shattered, and he is transfixed on getting the Stingray back. So some snake oil salesman tells Kenny that the car is in Vegas. So Kenny hitchhikes with a hooker in training, Vanessa, and they go off to Vegas. In Vegas, Vanessa goes off to be a hooker and Kenny runs around to all the fancy Las Vegas hotels asking for anyone if they've seen a super sexy car. After a lot of epic this and that's, Kenny sees the car out in the wild about 4 times and he chases it each time. After the 4th time, he finds the chop shop that stole the car, only to find out that his teacher helped the chop shop steal the car in the first place. And then Kenny, is bullied to be a part of the crooked shop. After he reconnects with Vanessa, who is now a fancy escort, and she is bummed out by who he has become. That makes Kenny sad, so he steals his car back, kidnaps Vanessa, and returns the car to the school. Vanessa is chill and loves it, and Kenny loves Vanessa, and Vanessa loves Kenny, and then they walk off in a super... No! Whatever, they fall in love, and then the car is washed by Danny Bonaducci. Just by a few fucking seconds. Okay, now it's time to get to business. It's time to talk shop. And we're talking about Kenny and Vanessa. I know I've been saying Kenny and Vanessa are crazy. They're crazy. They're crazy. And what I mean by crazy is I don't mean it in the way that people use to describe people like real life people that have like disabilities, disorders, and all this stuff. That's not what I mean at all. Like, this form of crazy exists in these like fantasy worlds. It's a different kind of beauty. Do I sound pretentious? Oh, I think I do. But you know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. But it's Kenny and Vanessa are just 2 beautiful people who act in unpredictable ways, and they love with all their heart. And also, they wouldn't hurt a fly. I think Vanessa would fuck somebody up, though, if she had to. But Kenny wouldn't hurt a fly. He's over here getting beaten by chains and all this shit and not even fighting back. I think Vanessa would take a flamethrower. Thrower. I think she would. If she had a flamethrower, and if somebody was threatening something defenseless, or like, she would do it in a heroic way. That's what I would think. But anyway, so getting back to it. Corvette Summer is one of the sweetest romances of all time. With all that being said, it is one of the sweetest romances of all time. I'm saying that right here, right now. At this part in my journey, I hate that. My journey. But like, this part in my journey, I think that Corvette Summer is probably one of the sweetest little romances I've seen in my life, in my little pathetic life. And I know what you're thinking. You're saying, Lucky, you're just a minor middle-aged woman in a dark room talking to invisible people about a movie that you had to watch Temu ad after Temu ad to watch. What do you know about what it takes to make a romantically romantic romance? And to that I say, wow, you're ruder than I thought, but also very observant and honest. Even though I, or anyone that knows me or has dated me, would never describe me as a romantic. I know what it means to have a heart. And better yet, butterflies. This movie could have been a B-movie disaster piece if it had not been for Mark Hamill and Annie Potts. Let's start with Kenny. So Kenny is obsessed with this car that his shop class has made. He falls in love with it even. And the car is stolen. And then Kenny follows it out to Las Vegas. And he has no car and he has no money. He sleeps in U-Hauls, talks about cars non-stop, has huge emotional outbursts, and literally puts his life on the line for these cars. Kenny is crazy. And Mark Hamill leaned into that. He left his pride at the door and completely gave himself over to Kenny. And Hamill made this crazy, wacky character into a real person with some real problems and some very real heart. Like when Kenny said, "I don't want no Cokes. Who said I was thirsty?" That felt real and crazy. And that's Kenny, man. He's real and crazy, but also a sweet little dope. So not only will Kenny steal a bicycle and then chase a sleazy high-end car thief, he will also just want to kiss his crush instead of just shacking up with her. He also tries to untie his shoes with his teeth when he's nervous. And Kenny is always, consistently, a dirty boy. And I don't mean a dirty boy. I mean, he's filthy. He's always dirty. And I know he's a mechanic and stuff, but for a good chunk of the movie, he isn't working on a car, but he's always covered in just grease. And even before he goes out hitchhiking, I don't think he showered before he's decided to take to the desert. Oh, and just to answer all of the Mark Hamill Star Wars questions, he did this movie right after the first Star Wars. That Star Wars came out in 77, Corvette Summer came out in 78. And no one anticipated that the Star Wars movie would blow up. So Mark had signed on to this movie before knowing about the Star Wars explosion. And he still gave it his all, man. He wasn't caught up in his instant fame or the fact that he is getting big-time work. He wasn't going to try and manipulate Kenny into some character that made sense for his brand/look. No, he let his freak flag fly. I'm never sure if that saying is supposed to be used in instances like this. You know, like, be yourself, even if it means being weird. Or if it's supposed to be used in a kinky sense only. I'm not sure. And yes, Mark Hamill was in a car wreck before filming and he had to have his nose all fixed up. Hamill says the details from the wreck were a bit exaggerated and only his nose was broken. You want to know who else was in a car wreck before filming? Annie Potts. We know and love Annie Potts from Designing Women, Young Sheldon, as Bo Peep in Toy Story, and a lot more. But she was Vanessa the hooker in training before all of these roles. This was Annie Potts' first movie, and she even ended up being nominated for a Golden Globe for Best New Actress for her role as Vanessa. She did really fucking good in this movie. And Annie Potts didn't even go to the Golden Globes because she didn't even know what that was. She didn't end up winning, but who cares, right? So, Vanessa is a loudmouth, scrappy, sweet lush, and hustler. Vanessa has so many trades within this movie. While she's trying to make it big as a top-tier sex worker, she takes on other side jobs like being a beautician and also a fast food worker at a popular burger spot. We see Vanessa in her cherry red Boffmobile that she had pimped out to the nines. It was beautiful. And it also had her name painted on the side, too. Vanessa. And on the inside, she had red lighting, lacy red drapes, red faux fur all over the place, a love rug, fridge, and of course, the motion of the ocean. Her waterbed. She was able to get all this work done to her car, her van, Wow. She was able to get all this work done for her van because her friend did it for services rendered, if you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? She's a hooker, for Christ's sakes. Well in training. That's what she says in the movie. Not just like that because I can't do an Annie Potts impression and I'm just figuring that out now. But we meet Vanessa right when she's about to start this wild journey for herself. So when I was going into this movie, I assumed what this movie would be about, right? It's a romance. I see a guy and a girl. I knew Annie was a sex worker, not Annie. I knew Vanessa was a sex worker and I knew Kenny was like a guy obsessed about cars. I just didn't know how they were going to meet each other and how they were going to become a part of each other's lives. So originally, I thought Kenny was going to be some kind of cool guy, popular heartthrob, innocent, boring guy, and he was going to end up rescuing a sex worker after he sees her getting roughed up by a pimp or something, and he like saves her from being like slapped around like a Grand Theft Auto NPC. Is this my second GTA reference? Wow. Anyway, he sees her getting slapped around, and then I was assuming he was going to step in and save her by saying something lame, like, "Hey, buddy, didn't anyone ever tell you not to hit a woman? Come on, Vanessa, we're out of here." And then, like, the pimp is, like, unrealistically shaking in his boots or whatever. Well, no, not at all. I was delightfully surprised that was not the direction they went. I have a lot of favorite Kenny moments. I have a lot of favorite Vanessa moments, but my favorite Kenny and Vanessa moment I will share with you now because I think it really sums up how real Kenny and Vanessa are. They aren't living this fairy tale life. They are people who work in sex work. They walk the streets at night. They sleep wherever they can. You know, love in a hopeless, fast, cruel town of Vegas. That's who they were. So the moment I'm talking about is when Vanessa runs into Kenny at that U-Haul parking lot at night and she needs a bathroom. And when Kenny goes up to her to say, hey, he sees that she's been beaten up and bloodied. Like her nose is bleeding, her shoulders, like it literally looks like she's been like thrown to the ground. But when he sees her, he helps her into the men's bathroom because the women's bathroom was locked. But I really like how he was chill about it. He was chill about the beaten and bloodied Vanessa. Like, he wasn't about to waste her time or energy by being like, what happened to you? Where is he? I'll kill him. Rawr. You know, like he already knows what happened. He already knows the guy is long gone and probably bigger than him. So instead of overshadowing her immediate needs by making the moment about his anger or reactions, he just focuses on making her comfortable and giving her space to clean up and feel safe. He's also trying not to be a creep. I appreciate that. Can't say the same for Vanessa. Vanessa is quite the creep. Anyway, and you know, I'm sure if their relationship was a bit deeper or if Vanessa was getting assaulted in front of him, his reaction definitely would have been bigger and more interfering. But Kenny's reaction at this time was perfect and sweet for what the situation called. Like, the drama has already happened. It is time for Vanessa to come down from it. And he understood. And also what they were saying to each other during this time is something that is said between two people who are from the same world, right? Like Kenny gets it and Vanessa is the one who got it. You know what I mean? So while Vanessa is in the bathroom washing up and literally cleaning the blood off of her face, and Kenny is outside the bathroom, he's just standing guard and he just says, rough night, you know, like something light. And Vanessa's like, yeah, I've had worse, just got off on the wrong foot. And she goes on to say like how blue jeans are a kiss of death. And then Vanessa just invited Kenny to sleep in her van and share her food. She wasn't going to let him sleep in a U-Haul. To me, it was a really sweet situation. I mean, it was a really bad situation that turned into a sweet situation. So once they're in the van, Vanessa's like, let's boink, baby. And Kenny is like, but I need to chew my shoes off my feet first because he's nervous. Which was also a sweet surprise and also sums up another part of their relationship. I thought after Kenny saw Vanessa all bloodied up and vulnerable, he was going to try and like talk her out of being a sex worker and like steer her away from her own personal goals. But no, he didn't pester about it, and he just kind of treaded lightly around Vanessa for a second. But that bathroom scene was cute, and I think really sums up the relationship between Vanessa and Kenny, and it was when they were at their roughest too.
Aww, this movie's so fucking sweet.
So the love relating to this movie doesn't stop at what is on screen. It continued in my heart. I had a really good time watching this, and I could not wait to see it again. So what I do, I watch the movie once by myself, do a little bit of research, and then I rewatch it again. And I always subject my partner to it. Thank you, Tarek, for always watching these movies with me. And I'm not the only one that was eager to give this movie another watch. When this movie released in 1978, it might not have had the same box office numbers as The Godfather, but it was a fan favorite. Many people, mainly a lot of motorheads who make up a lot of the cult following, they would go and see the movie one weekend and then bring some more friends to watch it again the next weekend. And that's fucking cute. Let's go back to movie theaters, huh? Yeah! They're dying and we need to save them. There is so much to love about this movie through the eyes of an audience member. For starters, the blue glitter, or metal flake, font in the opening credits. That is amazing. And it's beautiful. And it should be the font for all the movies from here on out. Then we have the oil barrel scene. Who did not love that moment? Of course, people can say, oh, but Lucky, that's just a comedy bit. Shut up. Shush. Actually, don't. I'm sorry. Whoa. Whoa, look at me getting really aggressive. I don't think it was a comedy bit, even though I'm sure it was written that way, but like it didn't end up being a comedy bit. I'm just like, of course Kenny would do that. Of course he would do that. And it took me completely off guard. So when that man with the chains, he like comes to check on Kenny because he heard a window break in the room Kenny was in. He goes in there, he sees this ladder of boxes sitting on top of these oil barrels. And the ladder of boxes leads up to a window that has been broken, right? And he goes, oh, darn. Just my cat. He goes, oh, darn. The kid got out. He's a talker. Should I let him in here? So the reason I don't let my cat in here is because he sits on top of my fort. That's my recording booth. And then he also like destroys everything in the room. But every time he's crying at the door, I'm like, maybe he won't do it this time. But he always does. Okay. Anyway, so the oil barrel, it leads up to this broken window. The guy goes, oh crap, the guy escaped. So he leaves the shop to go find the guy he leaves the shop to go find Kenny, like out in the woods or whatever. So after the guy leaves, you just see Kenny come, like literally just stand up. And he was inside of the oil barrel that was underneath the box of ladders, which was underneath the shattered window. How the hell did he do that? How the hell is that possible? How do you make the ladder out of boxes on top of the barrel that you're hiding in that is full to the brim of oil? And how do you break the window from within the barrel? And then, so when he comes out of the barrel, he's slipping and sliding all over the place. He looks like a brand new baby horse. Just like covered in goo and flipping and flopping all over the place because it's oil, dude. It's going to be slippery. And then it also left footprints. And so Kenny starts like getting out of there, and then the guy comes back and he sees the oil footprints, and that's how he ends up chasing Kenny down and finding him. And it's like Kenny can't really outrun this guy because he's covered in oil. Gosh, that entire moment like really caught me off guard, and I really appreciated that. So that was probably one of my ultimate favorite ultimate favorite moments of this movie. Another favorite of mine is, why was Kenny's hoodie always like that? Okay, so what I'm talking about is when Kenny would wear this small-sized blue zip-up hoodie, he would wear it zipped all the way up to the neck. Then he wears the hood and he pulls the drawstrings as tight as they can go just until his face is framed. And then he would tie the drawstrings in the bow. He literally looked like JJ the jet plane. And he does it during a montage and also when he's walking out of the U-Haul that he sleeps in. I loved it. I wish this was the look I did for my reaction video. God, I felt like shit that day. It would have been perfect. Oh, and another thing that I thought was pretty cool was the cruising scene when they take the Stingray out for the first time. We get to see a lot of younger people from the 70s enjoying nightlife. And it kind of reminds me of what people from my parents' generation experienced. So my parents, they were in their teens, young adulthood in the 70s. Yeah, more like they were teens, young adulthood in the 70s, and then they started going into adulthood in the 80s. But when they were teens in the 70s, I have a wall full of Polaroids of my parents from that time era. They're wearing Motley Crue shirts and have mullets. Oh, and my parents would talk about how they would drive up and down the popular roads in town. Sometimes people would even call it the Strip. And what you do is you just drive up and down these popular main roads in this small little farming town at night and socialize. It almost was like a tradition. I did that too. Super fun, super dangerous. But a good old time. So in the movie, we see a lot. We see drag racing. We see multiple people on one motorcycle. One motorist, he had a beer can taped to the top of his helmet like an antenna. There were also motorcycle cops standing around in the middle of traffic with literally their back to all the people. Low riders with hydraulics bouncing down the strip, girls with short fluffy hair and tight flared clothes waving at the guys in nice cars from the sidewalk. And there are 3 lanes of the road on both sides, and about everyone in every lane is breaking their neck to look at the Stingray. So that was cool. Another cool visual was the Las Vegas sign graveyard. Hello, spread my ashes there, please. That would be great. It was as cool as Vanessa's hair when she was a beautician. She had she was just cool. I love Vanessa. Oh, and her makeup in that was gorgeous. The lash game in the 70s was crazy. I totally underestimated how long those girls like to have their lashes. Very long, and I really love that. Oh, God. And then another favorite part that I had was when they took the Stingray out. They're waiting for that kid to come back with the drinks. And the entire shop class is waiting in the middle of traffic. You remember how I said there was 3 lanes on both sides? They were all standing in the middle lane, and lowriders cars had to drive around them. And then, since the kid's not coming back to them, they all jump into the teacher's car to find this kid, only to find the kid that they were looking for without he doesn't have the Stingray, but he's walking down the street, in the middle of the street with the drinks. And he was 2 lanes away from the sidewalk. It was just crazy. Oh, God. And then the 70s acting in the movie is great. There's a lot of people saying G, ironically and unironically. There's a no-nonsense shop teacher. And speaking of speaking, the best conversation in this movie takes place between Kenny and the convoy of beautiful lowriders. By the way, in California, they just released a law that prohibits legislation against lowriders. So that's cool. Live free, babies. Anyway, so back to these really cool lowriders in the movie. They were really freaking cool. So the car that Kenny gets into, he's hitchhiking, and the convoy of lowriders stops and picks him up. And the car that Kenny got into was a shiny black car with a mural on the side of it, and the mural looked like a Renaissance oil painting of the Southwest. and Kenny was a gross little white boy, and they still let him sit in those cars. How lucky are you, Kenny? And before Kenny is a brat about the whole lowriders only going 13 miles an hour, a super strange conversation takes place between him and the driver of the car. What is being said isn't weird. It's how they are talking to each other that just tickles me. Okay, I'll do a reenactment. Are you ready? So the driver goes, "You like cars?" Kenny says, "I like cars." The driver says, "Yeah, you like cars. Corvette?" And then Kenny's like, "Yeah, Corvette. You got it." Poetic. And the final moment of the movie that won my heart was Gil, the auto body shop owner. He puts the body in body shop. That man had the biggest butt in the entire movie. It was almost like magic. Of course, he brought the comedy to the movie. He laughs like a witch. He spanks Kenny on the butt all the time. And he sabotages all the cars that come into his shop for gas or a checkup. And he also wears women's sunglasses. Love it. But that man has no right to walk around in plaid trousers with cheeks that goddamn big. So when we see him for the first time, he's like Scooby-Doo tiptoeing up to Vanessa's van that is parked in his parking lot that is connected to the U-Haul parking lot. So he's sneaking up on them because Kenny and Vanessa, they're having this loud argument in the van. So he's Scooby-Doo tiptoeing up to this van that has an argument going on inside of it. So while he is creeping up on the car, we get his side profile. And it looks like he has a normal butt, whatever that means. And then when he turns the corner, to find the van, he turns the corner and his back is to the camera. He has an influencer BBL bubble butt. I'm telling you, it is round and you can see the outline of under the cheek. If you know, you know. He's got an outline of under the cheek. He's also got the side cheeks going on, top cheek. It is a circular shape in those trousers. It took my breath away. And sorry for scrutinizing your glutes, Gil, but good job, buddy. Those big butt muscles look well cared for, and I am sure many others are jealous. I'm jealous. Give me a butt like Gil, please. That's a booty. I thought for a second he was wearing butt pads, maybe. But then again, some guys, they just have perfect butts and they can't help it. They have perfect butts and long eyelashes. I'm jealous. I'll say it. No, for real. I do think of, when I think about people that have bigger butts, I am not one of them. I'm just does your tailbone ever sit on the seat you're sitting on? Because that's a problem for me. I'm like Hank Hill and I'm just straight up sitting on my bones. Does everyone actually sit on their seat bones, or does the butt actually hold? You don't have to answer this question. This is just a question that I have. If you got a big butt and then you sit on a chair, are you, your sit bones don't squish up against the chair, your bones? Okay, that's just a question that I have that does not need to be answered. If you're out there and you have a healthy butt and you ever wonder what it's like for people without butts, that's something that we feel is the seats that we're sitting on. Okay, anyway, sorry. Anyway, now that we have survived revisiting my personal favorites, now it's time to open and close my case on why Corvette Summer is one of the greatest romances of all time. Corvette Summer. Is it a low-quality comedy, or is it a top-tier romance? Well, it depends on what you're expecting. You should not watch Corvette Summer as a comedy, but you should watch it as a heartfelt romance about two people who are categorically, madly in love. Who do you think this movie is about? Kenny? Vanessa? The Stingray? The no-nonsense, corrupt Mr. McGrath? Kenny. The movie is obviously about Kenny. But not just because he gets the most screen time, but it's all we and Kenny experience when it comes to his heart and soul. It's about what he attracts and what he chases. It's about who fills him up and who leaves him on E. Let's start with Kenny's mom. Oh yeah, I'm coming for you, ma'am. In the movie, we first see Kenny's mom coming home late to her trailer/camper, her home, their home, and sees that Kenny had been waiting outside for her because he had lost his keys. It was nighttime. She has a wobbly look and a smile on her face and a flashy cocktail dress on. She doesn't seem too concerned that her high school senior son had been waiting out all night outside for her to come home. Sure, some can look at her as an optimistic, always in good spirits she is. A good time gal. Well, I see her as electively oblivious, as to not disturb her late night enjoyments. Yeah, enjoyments is a word. And she is also one of the moms that makes her almost grown kid kiss her on the mouth for a long time. That was a smooch. I know. I'm one of those that feels uncomfy when familial mouth kisses happen. I'll unpack it later, but in this context with Kenny, she's got some damn nerve. I'm not even sure she apologized for being late and leaving him outside, and I think she even used the spare key, which is why he was still outside. So why am I bringing her up at all? Well, she can't properly love Kenny. She and him live two separate lives, even though they share super close quarters. She acts like he is her roommate that is crashing on her couch. Not a mom. She doesn't even care that he has been missing since high school let out for the summer. And when she finds out that he is in Vegas, she says, "Woohoo! Yay, awesome!" And then she asks Mr. McGrath to tell Kenny that she is moving. Like, Mr. McGrath comes to be like, "Hey, Kenny's mom, do you know where Kenny is?" "What? Kenny's missing?" "Yeah, Kenny's been off in Las Vegas." "Oh my God, well, that's great. Can you tell him that I'm moving when you see him?" Sure, some people will say, "Oh, isn't that a comedy bit from the movie? You know, she's a ditzy mom." Well, do you think Kenny finds it very fucking funny? We'll never know, because she is so far removed from Kenny's life that he doesn't even talk about or write to his mom. He writes to his father figure, Mr. McGrath. If you ask me, his mom has probably been insane all her life. Hey, maybe that's where Kenny gets it from, right? But then, what if she, really detached after Kenny's dad is out of the picture? We don't even know what happened to the dad. So I think Kenny has a hole in his heart from his dad, and now has a hole in his heart from his estranged mother, who puts the strange in estranged. Well, we know Kenny is lonely. We see how his mom treats him. His dad is non-existent. We also see him get a little bummed out when he sees his classmates making out, going to prom, going on dates, etc. So we have another hole. The hole where companionship, partnership, and passionate love fills. Speaking of holes in his heart, Kenny seems to only have his shop class and cars to keep his fire alive. He is a senior in high school and is spending all his time on the Stingray. Maybe it's a fixation he has. Maybe this is the closest he has ever gotten to making a dream come true. Or maybe the Stingray is filling up one of those holes in his heart. But is the Stingray making up for his mom, dad, or loneliness? I think it fills the void his parents left. It seemed like he was in love, almost romantically, with the car at first, but let's dig deeper, darlings. So, Kenny goes on that field trip with his shop class, and then, like a sign from above, the Corvette emblem falls at the feet of Kenny. And, just like in Cinderella and her slipper, Kenny picks up the emblem, looks up, and he sees her. The Stingray, so he starts running after it, and he ends up saving the car from being destroyed. And the Stingray was old, crusty, rusty, beaten up to a shell of what it once was, and Kenny said, "We need to save that car," when most would say that the car was beyond saving. But he saw more than just potential. He saw a once-in-a-lifetime beauty, and he fights for it. That is unconditional love. Sure, you could be saying lucky. It seems like he wants to fuck the car or eat it, maybe. Maybe both. And to that I say, shut up, you pervert! This is a sweet, sentimental element of this beautiful love story. How dare you? So he rescues the car. There's a makeover montage. He spends prom night with the car. And no, he doesn't fuck it. Instead, he admires it. He's proud of it. He's still thinking of ways to improve it, to make it better. This car is his baby. This car fills the void that was blasted in his heart by his shotgun shell of parents. Like they left multiple holes in like one blow. That's what I mean. Anyway, he is going to give this car all the care, the love, and attention that he never got from his parents. He chases this car after it's stolen, and he chases the car on foot, by van, and bicycle. He fights for this car, and he goes out looking for it when it goes missing. He makes missing posters. It completely consumes his life. It's like his child was kidnapped. That is love. And the way he and others describe the car is busting. That's an interesting word. With love and admiration. The way this car is labeled in the movie makes it sound like it's more precious than the Hope Diamond. It's not just a Corvette. It's not just a Corvette Stingray. It's a 1973 candy apple red metal flake Corvette Stingray with super mags and Gabriel shocks. I don't even like cars. Gasps in shock. I know. Stay with me. But hearing of a 1973 candy apple red metal flake Corvette Stingray with super mags and Gabriel shocks makes my mouth water. So, Kenny is this crazy boy who is at a loss because his beloved Stingray has been stolen. So he runs off to Vegas. And oh my God, I am so happy that is where the car was taken. It could have been taken anywhere, but 1970s Vegas was a treat. Thank you for that. Enter Vanessa. Vanessa is the angel who comes riding over the hill in her cherry-mobile and scoops up Kenny. She smiles, she's wacky, she's a hooker, she presents as her true self to Kenny. She has nothing to hide. She offers him a ride, beer, and a good time. Wink, wink. But her heart is bigger than what she puts on. She at first comes off as this sex worker who is desperate to make a sale and tries to sleep with Kenny any chance she can. But who's to say this isn't a coping mechanism for her own holes? Okay, that analogy is slipping a bit. But you know what I mean. Her heart, y'all. Her gigantic heart. But we don't know too much about her past because this movie is about Kenny. But I would love to know. Kenny and Vanessa don't fall in love with each other right away. They are real about it. They get into squabbles and they split up, and Kenny gives Vanessa a $2 bill as an insult for her quote-unquote services. But then Vanessa drives back into Kenny's life while he's working for Big Glooty Gill. Sorry. She scoops him up again, and they go somewhere and they talk about life and catch up. Then the Stingray appears, and Kenny takes off by foot after it. And then Vanessa scoops him up again and helps him chase after this car. I think she loves him at this point, like absolutely. Like you just don't go back and kidnap a guy and like not be in love with him, right? So I think at this point she loves him. Who's to say she hasn't been thinking about him since they last interacted? Who's to say she hasn't been looking for him all this time and then drives by the Bubble Butt body shop and sees her love? So they are chasing this car, right? But then there's a red light, and Vanessa isn't about to break the law in front of the cops. The COP. Those cops were sitting at the same intersection. She wasn't going to run that light. And this scene is a great scene that I think really proves how much Vanessa is starting to love Kenny and accept him. This is also a scene where Kenny is losing his fucking mind. He's talking to the cops like he's on coke or something. That's a stolen car. That's a stolen car. He is running out into traffic. He's yelling nonsense at the cops. And while Kenny is ranting and raving, Vanessa delivers the best reminder in the movie. It's not even his car. It belongs to the school. But that doesn't matter to Kenny. The car doesn't need to belong to him. He knows the car deserves a better life, and that's why he's fighting. And he also worked really hard on it and was going to use it in some sort of portfolio. But we know this is deeper than a portfolio, so we really see how crazy Kenny is. And so does Vanessa. She calls him nuts and starts a report with the cops. The cops ask for the license plate number, and Kenny is too flustered to remember. But Vanessa sweeps in and gives the info. She loves him. If she wanted it to be over, if she wanted Kenny to give up, if she was freaked out by how crazy he was and didn't want to be a part of this, she wouldn't have shared that info. And just the fact that she memorized the plate number, and she also shared that number quick from memory, and she did it with a coy little smile. She wants to help her little crazy Kenny. She wants him to find his car. She wants it because he wants it, but she knows he needs it and deserves it. She loves him, even at his worst. Vanessa proves her devotion and love for Kenny in many ways. She's always there for him. She is herself around him. She's always giving him somewhere to stay, food to eat, a bed to shag or sleep in, and she encourages him to keep going. Vanessa is not a quitter, unless it comes to a job, but she won't let Kenny quit either, unless it comes to a job. That is love. So after all this, Kenny and Vanessa retire back to the van, and Vanessa is sloshed. She is a lush and she was drunk. She is making screwdrivers in her mouth and trying to get Kenny's attention by laying down jokes about the car. Kenny gets upset, so Vanessa accepts that Kenny is more involved with the car than he is with her. So while Kenny is rambling about how much this car means to him, Vanessa is getting undressed in the red light behind him inside the Vanessa mobile, and he catches a glimpse of her bare body by mistake. But then he averts his eyes because he's shy and respectful. But then Vanessa is like, and that's drunken talk for, hand me my pajamas. And she is getting dressed and doesn't seem to mind that Kenny is there during the process. And from the moment he saw her, he found it hard to talk about the car for once in his life. Her beauty surpassed the beauty of the 1973 candy apple red metal flake Corvette Stingray with super mags and Gabriel shocks. And he realizes how much he loves this person and then lays a big old smooch on her, which I know it's maybe not the coolest thing to do to a girl that is like really, really, really drunk, but it did bother Vanessa. But not in the way I was anticipating. Vanessa is really unpredictable, and to have that as a woman character in the 70s, I really liked it. So Vanessa is like, what the hell was that? And Kenny was like, a kiss. I wanted to kiss you. And then she's like, kiss? What do you want to kiss for? Let's screw. And this breaks Kenny's heart for a split second because he doesn't want Vanessa to clock in and do her job. He wants to be with her. He wants to connect and share feelings. And he thought these feelings were mutual. But they are mutual, Kenny. This is just a wall that Vanessa puts up by default for God knows why. So Vanessa shares something sweet. The $2 bill. She saved it, Mr. Krabs style. She says it's a special souvenir from her first cash sale. And that softens the moment. And then they make love. Not bone, not screw. No uglies were bumped. They made love in the shag wagon. And now Kenny's entire world has changed. And Vanessa has softened a bit. Or found someone to be soft with. She is still a playful little baby-voiced badass, though. So, they have sex. Speaking of slippery messes, the crowd gasps. Now who's the pervert? But the oil drum getaway fiasco. So after the oil barrel escape, he is picked up by those low riders again, the heroes of the story. And this is the grossest he has ever been. And I was relieved to see that they put him in the trunk. Then Vanessa takes him to a car wash, and she uses a quarter-operated car wash wand to hose him down. And she's in her nightgown, rollers in her hair, and slippers on her feet, and she is just fascinated by this little adventure he went on. But Kenny is just standing there, dissociating, dripping with water, wax, and oil, and then he just falls to the ground in a fetal position. And Vanessa drops to her knees, and she puts an arm around Kenny and says, with all of her crazy-ass heart, "You did it, Kenny, all by yourself." And the image we are getting is not of a kid who has done it. But to be fair, Vanessa only knows a little part of the story, and Kenny's heart is shattered by the reality of the situation. But his heart is also being nursed and nurtured by Vanessa. If he didn't have her, he really had nothing. And vice versa. Well, Vanessa had a lot of jobs. She did have that. And a lot of energy. She did have that. Poor Kenny gets a visit from his teacher, Mr. McGrath. You know, his stand-in father figure. And Mr. McGrath reveals that he is a low-paid teacher. So, a teacher, hello, when are we going to pay them more? He is paid shit. So he took a money-paying criminal deal with an old student of his, and he played a huge role in stealing the Stingray. And he tells Kenny all of this. He comes clean, and then blammo, another hole in the heart of Kenny. And Mr. McGrath spills more lovely news and tells Kenny that he has no choice but to join the chop shop that stole his baby. And kablam, another hole in the heart. And how does Kenny fill these heart holes this time? He doesn't. He leans into the emptiness, builds up the walls, and takes the job. So Kenny turns into this silk shirt douchebag and treats Vanessa to a night at a fancy Las Vegas hotel room, complete with a clamshell bed. He buys her clothes and he wines and dines her. But he's no Prince Charming about it. He talks about how he has given up on taking the car back, and he's only taking the job for the money. And he even says that the car is a commodity to be bought and sold, like everything else in this world. And then he even adds on, but what am I telling you for? And then makes a move on Vanessa, and even tries to give her money for sex. Shablam! A hole in Vanessa's heart. And she agrees to have sex for free, but I think she does this as a one last hurrah. She knows she can never see him again as long as he is like this. Her Kenny, her crazy Kenny, is gone. So Kenny and Vanessa live their new separate lives until Vanessa, the cherry van, comes to Kenny's shop. So Kenny goes off to find Vanessa, himself, his car, his nerve, and all this shit. He starts off by finding Vanessa in the casinos. She's a big-time escort. Vanessa/Rosalind, that's her new name, has a great comeback for when Kenny goes out to find her. Now Kenny is trying to shame her for being a real top-dollar escort. And she says, in return, quote, "I'm getting $100 an hour, and I'm doing the same kind of work as you. Body work." Ooh. Which is like, yeah, Kenny, you gave up on your harmless life purpose that you've been fighting so fucking hard for, getting the Stingray back, and instead you left it to the mercy of the bad guys for a little fast cash. Who's really the whore here, huh? Vanessa is hitting her goals, one of her many fickle goals, but she's still staying on track. Now Kenny is like, where is he? Who's paying you? Let me at him. And Vanessa is like, buzz off. You know? So he does. Now, Kenny is really going through it. He gave up on the car of his dreams, and his dream girl has given up on him. So he loses his mind again, and he transforms back into the crazy Kenny we all know and love. So he repaints his car, throws all these tools at the bad guys until they pass out. And he takes the car straight to the hotel where Vanessa is filming some sort of sex scuba short. He kidnaps her, but it's Vanessa, so she isn't anything more than annoyed. She isn't afraid, but she is pissed and unimpressed. Like, she saw that he got his car back and was like, good for you, so what? Oh, God. And then, so they're driving away and they end up in a car chase with the main bad guy. And during this chase, there wasn't hard-hitting suspense music. It was pretty easy listening 70s flute music. I can't remember if there was a flute in the song during the car chase, but 70s easy listening flute music is the best way I can describe it. But it made the car chase really majestic. And I think that is perfect for this epic journey Kenny and Vanessa have been through. And for some reason, it makes it look like the cars are like horses running wild, doing their thing. It's beautiful. And the whole time, Vanessa thinks the car chase is fake. Even when the bad guy is shooting bullets, and after the bullets start flying, Vanessa goes harder into her delusion, and she even eggs the shooter on. I'm telling you, she's unpredictable. So Kenny loses the bad guy, and the bad guy's scream when he's crashing is absolutely cheesy, and I love it. It's literally like this. It's like, like it's, it's really good. So Kenny returns the car to the school with Vanessa still in the car in her scuba gear. He gets his diploma, and then Vanessa steals the diploma and storms off. Kenny trots off after her and starts playing around with her, kind of the same way she was trying to get his attention when she was drunk. He catches up to her. She swings her bag at him. He runs a circle around her, and then he grabs his diploma, and then he throws it in the air, and then he gives Vanessa a big old sober smooch. Then they hug, and he picks her up, and he carries her off screen. Then Dusty Springfield plays, and that's the ending of one of the cutest love stories of all time. And Mark Hamill even says that this is a romance story. I got a quote that from Mark Hamill off of IMDb. He said, "I insisted on looking different, and I'm only interested in the car, not even any girl, until Annie Potts came along. It's not a car movie. It's really a love story. And I'm so thrilled to be working with Annie Potts. She reminds me of Judy Holliday. She's a unique creature." And then later, and then a few years down the road, he goes on to say, "Corvette Summer is a great little picture, and it's got sort of a title that is a misnomer because you sort of put it in one category when you first see it, and you go, oh gee, it's quite a nicely written romantic movie, and I enjoyed it immensely." End quote. I rest my fucking case. And there you have it, Corvette Summer. It's a romance and not a comedy. There were like 5 jokes in there, and they were all good. But other than that, it was crazy, wild. There was action and a whole lot of love. And as far as production goes, it seems that there was nothing super weird to report. It was written, it was shot, and then it went to theaters. We heard what Mark Hamill had to say about Annie Potts, and Annie Potts returns the sentiment. This was her first movie, remember? And she said that Mark was really nice and welcoming and even helped her with acting in front of the camera. It is way different than acting on stage, which is what she was used to. But God, it sounds like it was a good time. And the car still exists. There were 2 cars made for the film. They had one for show, right? And then they had one for stunts. I don't think they had their the car's original motors in it, so they didn't really go that fast, but whatever. And I think I heard that the original car was found the same way that Kenny found his Stingray, in a junkyard. And then it was built. I think the original car is in a collector's possession, which is lame because, dude, share it. The Stingray is not supposed to be in captivity. Well, I don't know what the collector does. They might send it out for shows or display. I don't know. But it did used to be on public display at museums and stuff. Oh, and the right-hand drive. They say that a lot in the movie. The right-hand drive situation was put in place so Kenny or whoever was driving could talk to the girls on the sidewalk without having to shout over the passenger's seat. How cute. Oh my God, and that is our show for today. I think I stated my case very nicely. Corvette Summer is a romance movie. It is not a comedy. I wouldn't even categorize it as a rom-com. It is a romance. A full-hearted, full-ass, thank you, Gil, romance. Oh, that is all for me today, babies. I hope you really enjoyed that episode. I hope you watched that movie. I think it is going to be one of my favorites. So it's going to be hard to beat, but I think we have a good contender coming up next week. And that contender is The Bodyguard. I know, that is probably like the only other movie I could have put in this lineup that could compete with the way Corvette Summer shook me to my bones and warmed my heart. Maybe I'm just like a bit spiteful to Titanic and In the Mood for Love because they didn't end up together, but but oh my god, I really enjoyed myself throughout the Corvette Summer experience, and I hope you did too. And I will see you next week when I cover The Bodyguard. So go ahead and take care of yourself, drink some water, and take it easy, and I will see you next week. Bye.